After the college entrance examination, I imprisoned my invincible brother in a rental house. I bullied him every day, humiliated him, and forced him to be my good dog. He was as mad as a bloodthirsty wolf, and warned me word by word, Maxine Morse, I'm going to kill you when I get out. I kissed the corner of his mouth without care. Okay. When I got tired of playing, I completely disappeared from his world. When we met again, he became my junior, grabbed my neck and pressed tightly. Sister, I'm here to keep my promise. When I saw a message from Blake Lyly, I've just finished a day of tutoring and am strolling down the boulevard with ice cream in hand. Maxine Morse, give you half an hour, get back and make me dinner. The message was sent 50 minutes ago. According to Blake Lyly's self-respecting young master's personality, he must be impatient to wait at this time. Sure enough, the next second, Blake Lyly's voice call popped up. I grinned and chirped to turn on. Blake Lyly's grumpy voice nearly shattered my eardrums. Maxine Morse, you're fat, aren't you? Don't you dare to reply to my message? The ice cream was about to melt, and I took a sip of ice cream, feigned rape, and gasped for air. Brother, I'm sorry. I just finished tutoring and saw your news. I'll sweep the shared bicycle and go back now. Bike sharing, when you kick back on 2 wheels. I'm hungry. Maxine Morse, did you mean to torture me? You want to starve me to inherit my father's property? I continued to pretend disapprovingly. Brother, I didn't mean that. I really, the word, no money, was stuck in my throat. After all, the villain with strong self-esteem does not allow me to say such cheesy words. Fortunately, Blake Lyly was not a fool and instantly understood what I meant, and neatly transferred me $1,000. Now, immediately, get back. I collect money. Okay, brother. Turning around, I swept a shared bicycle, and rode home slowly against the refreshing summer breeze. By the time I got home, it was already dark. It was a full hour behind Blake Lyly's allotted time. I carried the ingredients to the kitchen and washed the food. When Blake Lyly appeared behind me at some point, willing to come back, he whispered in my ear like a ghost. I was so startled that I almost picked up a kitchen knife and stabbed it. I looked up in panic, like a rabbit frightened by a wolf, and looked at him with wide eyes, and the unhappiness in my eyes was well concealed by me. I said weakly, Brother, yes, I'm sorry. I'm late for the traffic jam on the road. Blake Lyly pulled out a sneer. Traffic jams. Aha. As soon as I was about to nod, he grabbed my chin viciously, and his back slammed against the sink with a muffled thud, and pain crawled all over my back. Today's traffic is unimpeded. Which car are you clogged in? Heckling you. Blake Lyly's voice was emotionless, and the fingers that twisted my chin gradually became stronger, and I could vaguely see the green tendons bulging on the back of my hand. It must be nice to be pinched by such a beautiful hand. Perverted thoughts sprung up in my head out of place. The deepening pain pulled back into my thoughts, and tears welled up in my eyes, and a hot tear rolled down the back of his hand. He shook my face away in disgust. Put away your worthless tears. It's useless to me. Brother, I called him aggrieved. He wrung his eyebrows impatiently. Maxine Morse, I warn you, don't play tricks on me, and don't challenge my patience, or you and your mom will go back somewhere. With that, he went upstairs without looking back. I wiped away my tears, the corners of my mouth twitching. Brother, this sentence is also given to you. I came to Lyly's house with my mother a year ago. At that time, my grandmother passed away and left her last words, so that I could study hard with my mother, and be admitted to university no matter what. My mother's external personality has always been a single beauty. Trying to find a partner with a compatible soul, in the vast sea of people, I finally caught a big fish like Blake Lyly and his father, who are stupid and have a lot of money. But I didn't expect such a drag oil bottle to pop up at the door, shattering her dream of being wealthy. During that time, she was sincerely frightened, and muttered in my ear all day long, giving birth to you is the worst thing I've ever done in my life. Why should you be alive, you reaper? Oh, why didn't you say it wrong when it was cool? But now it's too late to blame me. She tried to deal with me when I was in her belly, but unfortunately I was hard and survived again and again. After giving birth to me, she threw me to my deaf grandmother, regardless of the 18 years. To be honest, my relationship with her is no different from that of a stranger. The only difference is probably that one stranger is not so hostile to another. Fortunately, my mom worked so hard that Blake Lyly didn't care about it. It was only natural for me to stay in the Lyly family as a transparent person. But Blake Lyly's son won't accept it so easily. Blake Lyly, as my cheap older brother, often worked against my mom, and often made my mom so angry that she smashed the dishes and bowls. If it weren't for this identity, I would have wanted to applaud him. I wanted to keep it from bothering me. But as an intruder's daughter, Blake Lyly's attitude towards me was terrible. It's commonplace to find fault from time to time, and bullying me is a hand-held pinch, including but not limited to throwing dead rats in my room, deliberately soiling my school uniform, deliberately saying vicious things to slander me. In the face of these childish tricks, I would symbolically squeeze out a few crocodile tears and beg him, like a delicate and pitiful simple little flower without offensive power. After all, fools are tough. The way to survive in this home is to pretend to be weak. And tears are the best disguise. Although my cheap brother has a bad temper, and his character is even worse, his face and figure are very good. I was ready to move, but he's stingy. Every time, I wrapped myself tightly, and I didn't know what to prevent. I really want to open it and take a look. The other day I got up hungry in the middle of the night to cook something to eat. It just so happened to be seen by Blake Lyly, who unceremoniously ate most of my bowl of egg custard. Since then, he has haunted me like a ghost, and every day he has convulsions to let me cook, and he calls me as his exclusive cooking girl. For this reason, he specially gave the cooking aunt a long vacation, and I was so angry that I wanted to put some rat poison in the dish. He forgot about the medicine. Of course I didn't. After all, he had to take his time, but I deliberately put 2 extra spoonfuls of salt in his favorite dish. Blake Lyly's face turned green when he put the dish in his mouth. Bah, bah, bah. He picked up the cup in his hand, and poured 2 sips of water. Maxine Morse, you mean revenge, don't you? If you can't cook, you can go back to your hometown, and feed the pigs. I watched him drink a full glass of water that I had carefully prepared, and the corners of his mouth were harder than AKs. I immediately switched states and looked up timidly. My eyes filled with mist. It's all my fault, brother. I've been a little stressed lately. I was scolded by my parents today. Maybe I was in a trance and accidentally put salt as sugar in the dish. Don't you drive me away. Okay, I'll be careful next time, and I'll make sure I won't make any more mistakes. I carefully grabbed his cuffs softly. He drank water. Why do parents scold you? You abuse other people's children. I poured bitter water with red eyes. I gave his child a makeup lesson, and his child was always playful and didn't listen well, which led to the score of this quiz being 5 points lower than the last time. And he took the 30th exam, and the parents said that I couldn't teach well, which delayed his child's success. Blake Lyly sneered with his chopsticks. A stupid pig. Don't go to people who don't know, and think that our Lyly's family is bankrupt. I can't afford to lose this person. I bit my lip in disbelief and shook my head stubbornly. No, I still have to save up for tuition, Blake Lyly said angrily. Hey, your mother fished so much out of the old man's hands, and she refused to pay your tuition for a little bit of finger leakage. I bowed my head and didn't speak. Tears dripping into the soup like beads with broken threads. Silence is better than sound at this point. It's eerily quiet. Scum. Blake Lyly burst into a foul mouth and got up impatiently, and my heart trembled as the chair made a high-pitched and screeching sound. It didn't take long for a message to pop up with a transfer of 100,000 yuan. Borrow yours, and return it to me as a cow and a horse in the future. I looked at the closed door, and curled my lips excitedly. Brother, I'm really about to fall in love with you. In the middle of the night, I walked to the door of Blake Lyly with my spare key. I was about to open the door when a sudden voice interrupted my movements. What is Maxine Morse doing? The butler stood not far away, and looked at me coldly. I put the key in my palm, raised my hand and rubbed my eyes, and pretended to be sleepy and spoke. Jaden, why haven't you slept yet? I just got up to get some water to drink, and I'm about to go to bed. Maxine Morse, you're on the wrong side. Your room is in the second room, on the left-hand side of the stairs. I looked up, and I was a little stunned. I'm dazed. Thank you, Jaden, for reminding me. Then you can go to bed early, when I go back to bed. The butler stared straight at me, until I walked into my room. The butler was probably afraid that I would be ashamed to climb Blake Lyly's bed, and was always on guard against me. Coincidentally, he and I wanted to go together. After all, I've been salivating over Blake Lyly for a long time. My family was so guarded against me that I didn't have a chance to do it at all. The restless heart cannot be calmed for a long time. I lay in bed and meditated, and finally, fell asleep. I went back to the scene where I first met Blake Lyly. Blake Lyly introduced me and my mom to Blake Lyly for the first time, and Blake Lyly flipped the table without saying a word. I didn't know how to get up, and the cloth bag hanging from the back of my chair fell to the floor. It was a cloth bag that my grandmother had sewn for me, embroidered with white gardenias. I was just about to crouch down to pick it up when I was trampled by a ruthless iron foot. Blake Lyly gave me a condescending look. The eyes were disgusted and contemptuous. I pushed him, but he was indifferent, and there was even a bit of amusement in his eyes. "You beg me." I refused to say a word, staring at him, thinking that he was really handsome and really bad. Knock knock knock. A quick knock on the door brought me back from my dream. When I woke up, I had only one thought in my head. What is it like for someone as incredible as Blake Lyly to be ridden under me and begged? For a moment, a ridiculous plan came to me. Blake Lyly was still standing at my door, knocking. Is Maxine Morse dead? Didn't die to make breakfast? When I got up, my breath was swept away, and my heart was pounding with excitement. I got dressed and opened the door with a super sweet smile. "Brother, I'll make you something to eat. Can you let me eat something good?" I stared at his not-so-starry face and winked twice. Blake Lyly was stunned, his eyes a little evasive. "Whatever you like. Now I'm going to have breakfast," I obediently replied. "Okay, Tilda." Because of his disguised agreement, my mood for the day was very bright. I had just finished paying for tutoring some time ago, and I was looking at the message of Blake Lyly popping up on my phone. "What about people? What about rice? Maxine Morse, are you a fish? What you promised yesterday you forgot, white-eyed wolf. You took the money and ran away, didn't you? Damn, the dead liar will pay me back 100,000 yuan. Don't worry, brother, the rice. Of course it's delicious to cook together." I called Blake Lyly with great interest. "Maxine Morse, you." He was about to get angry when he was stunned by my words. Brother, help me, I'm so scared of my brother." My voice trembled with tears. "Maxine Morse, what's wrong with you?" Blake Lyly's tone was rapid, and the sound of something knocking over. I'm being followed by several drunk men. What should I do? Brother, they're going to kill me. I'm so scared. Hide and keep quiet, and send me the location." Blake Lyly's hurried footsteps were heard on the other end of the line. I crouched on the side of the road and petted the cat, sharing a spot with him. "Kitten, he seems to be really nervous. Is he worried about me?" In the dead of night, the cramped alleys are even more beautiful in the moonlight. I pulled up the zipper of my jacket and hid in the unmonitored alley. "Blake Lyly's navigation is approaching." After a while, Blake Lyly's voice came from the alleyway. "Maxine Morse. Maxine Morse." The sound was getting closer and closer, and every nerve ending in me trembled with excitement until he was completely in front of my eyes. I happily reached out and pulled him into the darkness. "Brother." His eyes lit up when he saw me, and I covered his mouth and nose just as he was about to speak. "Shhhhhhh." I put my hand to my lips. Within seconds he was limp in my arms, unconscious. I poked him in the face. "Brother gives you 10 seconds to call for help, and if you don't speak, I'll treat you willingly." 10, 9, 7, 4, 0. "Okay brother, I'm going to eat you." I brought Blake Lyly back to my rental home. Mimicking his tone, he used his phone to message Jaden that he was going on a graduation trip with friends to relax. "Little master, I see that you haven't packed your luggage. Temporary. My friend is in a hurry, and then I can buy what I don't need. Not to mention that I'm going to catch a plane." After calculating the time, I changed his IP address. I kept his circle of friends up to date, and no one knew that he was lying on a cot in my rental house at the moment. Blake Lyly woke up the next afternoon. I'm sitting in front of the computer and picking up the game to play with. Blake Lyly opened his eyes in a daze, realizing that he couldn't move his hands and feet, and opened his mouth to call for help. "Where is this? Maxine Morse. Maxine Morse. I swirled the chair impatiently with a lollipop in my mouth. Don't scream. It's noisy. Blake Lyly turned his head stiffly, only to realize that he seemed to have been tricked by me. There was a storm in his dark eyes, and his voice was even more terrifyingly low. Maxine Morse, you lied to me. Shirin walked up to him, and smiled slyly. Yes, I lied to you. The setting sun shone through the small window on Blake Lyly's handsome face, and I pinched the face that was being caressed by the setting sun. He immediately turned his head away from my hand. Don't look at me like that, as if I am so heinous. You lied to me, not a few. This is called retribution. His ruddy mouth opened and closed, and he looked so close that I couldn't even hear what he was saying. I didn't treat myself badly. Pinched his chin and kissed him. His lips are soft, like a jelly he ate when he was a child, and he likes it sweet. I just ate a strawberry-flavored lollipop. I blinked my sparkling eyes. Maxine Morse, you. Blake Lyly's eyes widened, his face full of disgust, and the shame from his neck to the base of his ears blended with the fiery red sunset, making it difficult to tell. I just like to see him being bullied by people he hates but he can't resist. Brother, you're so cute. Cute fart. Blake Lyly has the heart to kill me now. The more I looked at him, the more excited I became. I straddled his waist and abdomen, and his abs were so hard. It's a perfect body. Brother, if you are a male model, I will definitely order you every day. I'm afraid you won't be able to light it, so get off me right away. Blake Lyly grimaced and clenched his fists. Not really. I'm not as he liked. Brother, do you know, I've been upsetting you for a long time, and I've never dreamed of doing this to you. I deliberately provoked him with disgusting words. Then you're dreaming a pretty boring one. The mouth is so hard. I put my hand on his abs and stroked it. He snorted, his breath disordered. The thin lips were pursed into a line, and he tried his best to endure it. It wasn't until the ends of his eyes flushed, and I couldn't bear it that I stopped. It's not early. Brother, I'm going to sleep. By Tilda. Blake Lyly's eyes were about to breathe fire when he looked at me. Maxine Morse, get back to me. I could hear him cursing through the door. Seeing that he is not happy, I will fly directly. In the past few days, I have completely torn apart the disguise of the past, and let him see what it means to take revenge from morning to night. I just sit on his abs and play games. After all, the stool was too cold and not as comfortable as his abs. Every time, it made his blood surge, but he was helpless, and he couldn't wait to grit his teeth. What seemed to me to be flirtatious became a humiliation in his ears. Maxine Morse must look good when I go out. I pounced on him and kissed him on the lips. Defeating magic with magic. Zyaku can really speak. Don't say it again. I don't like to hear it. You. Blake Lyly looked at me unlovingly. Maxine Morse, give me 2 knives. I giggled. No, brother, I'm going to be distressed. On this day, I had a lot of fun and took lipstick and wrote on his abs. Maxine Morse's dog. I forcefully applied lipstick to his finger and asked him to stamp it. I also took a picture of him when I was done. Come, good dog, laugh. He had an expression that was worse than death, and he was happy to kill me. Blake Lyly twitched the corners of his mouth disdainfully. Hey, I want Lao Tzu to be your dog, in the next life. His face is really unsmicky, and he dares to be so arrogant under the fence, and I slapped him immediately when I saw that he was unhappy. You dare to hit me. I'm not straight, but I'm strong. I want to fan it. What? I have to pick a good day to beat you. Maxine Morse, you're really not afraid of death. Aren't you afraid that my dad will trouble you when he finds out I'm gone? How could I not have thought about this aspect? I took his phone and swiped it in front of his eyes. Young master, have you seen that anyone cares about you for so many days? Your amorous father doesn't know how to take care of you in that woman's gentle country. Blake Lyly, his dad and mom are in a business marriage. His mother fell in love with his father at first sight, but he didn't expect his father to have a woman who was in love with each other before marriage. After giving birth to Blake Lyly, his mother found out about the woman. She couldn't stand the betrayal of her husband. She had mental problems, and when Blake Lyly was 4 years old, she drove into the woman in a fit of rage. The lover dies on the spot, and Blake Lyly's mother becomes vegetative. Mr. Lyly grieved the loss of his love and blamed all the blame on Blake Lyly's mother. Blake Lyly, who had a face like his mother, was rejected by his father since he was a child. And the two most heard sentences were probably, "Why didn't you die?" and "You were born a mistake." Blake Lyly, who was arrogant just now, suddenly died down, like a frosted eggplant, and his eyes dimmed for a moment. No way. Two sentences say autism. So how can I play? For the sake of the game experience. I touched his face soothingly and said softly, "It's okay. Even if they don't care about you, it's not me. I'm by your side. Don't be sad. You care about me. Of course. You're my good dog. I don't care who you care about. I care about you, the most." Lying and not breaking the law. What's wrong with blowing two sentences? Seeing that his eyes were not so gloomy, I kissed him on the forehead. That's good. I coaxed him like a little yellow dog in the village when I was a child. No emotion. It's all skill. In just half a month, Blake Lyly has gone from babbling from the beginning to letting him out to make me look good, to now being insensitive, lying flat and riding. It's time to give him some intensity. The meat has been fed to the mouth, and it would be a loss not to eat it. I had everything ready for a soul-wrenching humiliation in bed. I flinched at the door. The difference between theory and practice was a little too big, and it scared me. This. I'm a little overwhelmed. Blake Lyly's cold eyes shone with cold light, and beads of sweat oozed from the corners of his forehead. "Rookie, if you want to go up, you can go on it, and you don't get out of the way. You're still in command of me." Was already unhappy and looked down on by him? Under sash. I slapped him and he stopped. I didn't expect that one day I would also practice the classic quote of men. I was lying on my side, and Blake Lyly wasn't so comfortable. He looked at the ceiling, his Adam's apple rolling, his eyes full of impatience and struggle, like a trapped beast trapped by desire. I propped my chin and said with compassion, "Blake Lyly, please, I'll help you." I waited until I was getting impatient before Blake Lyly reluctantly spoke. "Dog, please." I rubbed his face. "That's good." After a long time, he turned his head sideways and gasped in my ear. His long, narrow and deep eyes were like flames burning, and the bottom of his eyes were surging with naked lust and monstrous hatred, like a bloodthirsty wolf. And he said cruel words word by word. "Maxine Morse will kill you when I get out." "Okay." I patted him on the cheek disapprovingly, kissed the corner of his lips like a pet, and pulled out just in time when he was about to bite him viciously. With a smile, he said, "But brother, there's no chance, because I'm about to get out of here." To reassure Jaden, "I've been going back to Lyly's house every other day these days. Jaden stopped me 3 days ago." "Maxine Morse, do you know which friend the young master is playing with?" I asked all the friends who were close to the young master, if they didn't know anything about the young master. The corners of my forehead jumped, and then I did a good job of hiding the panic in my eyes. "Jaden, it's not like you don't know that my brother doesn't like me. So why did you tell me this?" I smiled bitterly, and Jaden seemed to realize that something was wrong, and didn't ask any more questions. It was only a matter of time before the seeds of doubt were found. I have to get everything in order before they find out. After getting my acceptance letter, I started preparing to leave. "I'm pretty much ready today." I sighed with some regret. I wish he had become a little yellow dog. A little yellow dog that only belongs to me. It doesn't matter if he's in a bad temper, as long as it's mine. "What do you mean, you're leaving?" Blake Lyly's eyes were cold and terrifying, and his voice suddenly rose up. "Nonsense. Am I here to play with you?" I responded as I packed my things. "Aren't you afraid that I'll go out and call the police to arrest you?" "Brother, if you don't want your photo to appear in the hands of everyone you know and become a topic of conversation after dinner, just settle down. Blake Lyly is the legal heir of the Lyly family, and it is about the face of the Lyly family, and no one can end up in a scandal." "Maxine Morse, you dare." His pitch-black pupils are like bottomless black holes, which are intimidating. "You can try." "I'm betting on his fame and fortune." I took out something familiar and slowly walked up to him, and attached it to his muzzle and nose. "Brother, goodbye. Sleep well. There will be no time in the future." I untied him, kissed his brow and turned away. "Maxine Morse got you." I snapped my eyes open. Blake Lyly's gloomy eyes fell asleep again, this time accompanied by his voice, which was creepy to listen to. It has been more than a year since the summer vacation of the college entrance examination. I always dream of Blake Lyly's hateful eyes at parting, and it's been clearer and clearer lately. In the afternoon, it was overcast, and I picked up my phone and looked at the group message, which was 99 plus. The group owner at me and my roommate, let us both be responsible for the recruitment of tomorrow's club. I replied received. As soon as I arrived at the door of the dormitory building the next day, my aunt stopped me. Classmate has your flowers. It is a bouquet of black mandalas. There was a card inserted next to it. Only 2 short words, miss you. I had a faint bad premonition in my heart. Whose good people send flowers like this? Roommate murmured, Auntie, do you see what the person who delivers the flowers looks like? The roommate asked. I can't describe the specifics, but it's a tall and handsome young man. Isn't it the boy who chased you a few days ago? Although you like black, but I can't give you a bouquet of black flowers. How unlucky. After listening to my roommate's words, I think I was really stunned. I didn't like him. I didn't even like his flowers. I put them next to the trash can. My right eyelid is constantly jumping, and I always feel like a pair of eyes are watching me these days. It's only September, but I feel chills. When I arrived at the recruitment venue, there was an endless stream of new students coming and going. I was in charge of registration, and I was busy all morning. And when everyone was about to pack up and go to dinner, a pair of slender legs suddenly broke in my sight. Senior sister, sign up. The nightmarish sound burst into my ears, and I pounded on the keyboard, then stiffened my head. After a year's absence, Lyly wore a black hooded sweatshirt and pressed her hands on the table. The moment they made eye contact with him, Lyly slowly raised the corners of his lips, and his cold eyes burst into a sharp and hot light. For a moment I held my breath, my heart shook heavily, and my mind throbbed back and forth between lucidity and confusion, numb to the point of not listening to the call. Wasn't he supposed to study in the UK? How could he be here as a freshman? Did he repeat it? Last year, his 6 grades combined were not half as high as mine, and he counterattacked in just 1 year. He and I were admitted to a school. What do you want to do? Revenge. My mind is a mess. Knock knock. Suddenly, he knocked on the table and repeated, Senior sister, sign up. What is Maxine more stunned, fascinated by the handsome guys? Realizing my gaffe, I hurriedly lowered my head and focused my gaze on the computer screen. The roommate smiled and handed over the paper registration form. Handsome guy, come here to register. He writes the paper version on the side, and I type it on the computer. Name. I try my best to keep my voice steady. Lyly chuckled. You don't know. My fingers curled up uncontrollably. The roommate was shocked. Maxine Morse. You know each other. I don't know. I don't squint. I flatly deny it. Oh, I don't know. His voice suddenly turned cold, and he muttered in a tone that only I could hear. White-eyed wolf. I pretended to be deaf and typed hard, just wanting a quick end to this torturous confrontation. I was about to run away when Lyly stopped me. Sister, I'm not familiar with the campus. Can you take me around? I glared at him without a trace. I'm sorry, I don't have time. Yes, you have. Joe and I can come in the afternoon, and you can take the juniors to familiarize themselves with the campus. What kind of disciple is he? My roommate was eager to push me into Lyly's arms, and whispered in my ear, tall and handsome junior, you can take it down for me. Me, good roommate, you pushed me into the fire pit. Lyly smiled politely. Thank you, senior sister, for inviting you to dinner another day. Okay, don't go, gluttonous girl, you can't leave me. Before I could take 2 steps forward, Lyly grabbed me by the back collar and pulled me hard, slamming me into his chest. Sister, don't come unharmed. Hearing the familiar name, I was so frightened that I lost my soul. I didn't react until he pulled me into the bathroom. Whoever comes with you is okay. Let me go. I pushed him harder, biting his hand, and he didn't move, but held it tighter. He smiled playfully, pinched the back of my neck, and secretly squeezed me. The little white-eyed wolf has also learned to bite, and if you bite again, your teeth will be pulled out. I was relieved, afraid that he would do it, scared. I thought you Maxine Morse weren't afraid of heaven and earth. He locked the door. I swallowed in a panic. What the hell do you want to do? He bit my ear and whispered, you. The moment I heard this, my blood flowed backwards. Lyly put his hand on my waist and rubbed it. Half of my body went numb. Baby, what are you shaking? Isn't that what we promised? Heh. Scenes from the past come to my mind. How cool it was then. How embarrassing it is now. At that time, I was only concerned about finding him unhappy, forgetting that he was a person who would repay him. Don't you like the flowers that were given to you in the morning? Why did you throw it away? You sent it. My eyes widened. I should have expected that normal people would send this kind of flowers. Otherwise, do you think it's one of your suitors? He pinched my chin and forced me to look at him. Don't accept flowers from other men in the future, or I'll go crazy. I was indignant. How old are you? Why should you care about me? Just because you took me for yourself, a year ago, and said you cared about me. I laughed out loud. Brother, you're so simple. I restrained my smile. Then I'll tell you now that I'm lying to you. I don't care about you, poor bastard. Before I could finish speaking, Blake Lyly hurriedly blocked my next words. He sucked my lips and tongue so hard that the sweetness of the blood spread all over my mouth, and he grinded me with his teeth at parting. Of the lips, this mouth is so sweet, it should say some sweet words. I raised my hand and gave him a slap. He touched his face and smiled. Baby, you're so fragrant. The slap hit him in the nerves. He's sick. He grabbed my hand and pecked it. It didn't hurt, did you? Feng Shui takes turns, and I can be considered to have experienced his mood of wanting to knife people at the beginning. Lunatic. According to you, Maxine Morse is actually a wretched creature that no one cares about, but you're luckier than me. At least I care about you. He touched my face and looked at me steadily. I was stunned. Care about? There is no one in the world who cares about me. He said he cared about me. Who believed? You just don't want me to treat you like that a year ago. You hate me. I hate you. I hate you for promising to pat your ass and leave. I hate you so much that I want to break you into my belly, but I want to rub you into my arms even more. His eyes were red with excitement, and the muscles of the hand holding my neck were bruised, and he was unleashed. Traps. Big traps. You didn't fix me a year ago, and we're a write-off. Hey, whoever writes it off with you, I'll tell you we're not done. I showed my last hole card. Aren't you afraid that I'll send you nude photos and ruin your reputation? Blake Lyly smiled. You can send it if you want. Remember to label me as Macho 18 before you send it? And by the way, send out a photo of you stamping you as a dog, so that they know that I have a lot to do with you. Crazy, crazy. When did he become so faceless and skinless? If you are really cheap, you are invincible. You think I'm shameless. I hate my teeth itching. It's good. It's better to hate than not to care. He took me in his arms and muttered to himself. It's okay. The days are still long. We will slowly wear them out. My roommate asked me how Blake Lyly and I were doing, and I kept silent. Now I hear the name and my head is big. Okay, Maxine Morse. Can you tell me? People are curious. The way he looks at you is not innocent. If there is a hatred in one sentence, don't ask. And then ask about suicide. I stuffed myself in the quilt, and my mind was full of his past, and the more I tried to forget, the clearer it became. I haven't been there except for classes these days. I'm afraid I'll meet Blake Lyly. I'm afraid he'll do something unthinkable in public. On this day, the club organized a dinner party for everyone to get acquainted with each other. I was scared of meeting Blake Lyly, and wanted to decline it, but my roommate told me he wasn't on the list to volunteer. I can't stand eating in the cafeteria every day. I had to improve my food. Our group went to have a barbecue. Halfway through eating, Blake Lyly suddenly arrived. I almost got killed by enoki mushrooms. Blake Lyly sat down beside me, and naturally poured me a glass of water. Seeing me so excited, yo, the crowd raised their eyebrows. Blake Lyly, what do you have to do with Maxine Morse? Chasing. I silently reached for his lower back, almost unscrewing off a piece of meat without gagging his mouth. He wrapped my hand in the palm of his hand strongly. Jen Bing, I'll give you warmth. I took it, and I almost had breast hyperplasia after eating this meal. After eating, I thought that the bad day was over, but I didn't expect someone to propose to play billiards to eliminate food. It happened that there was a billiards room upstairs, and everyone moved the nest happily. Before I could excuse myself, I was put upstairs by everyone, and I happened to meet the boy who was chasing me a few days ago. Maxine Morse and her friends are here. I nodded awkwardly. At this time, a friend not far away asked me to come over and play. I won't. You guys play. The boy's eyes lit up. And he said, "It's very simple. I can teach you." Just as he was about to refuse, a strong voice interjected, "Come here, I'll teach you." Blake Lyly stood at the pool table with a calm face, not knowing how long he had been watching. The boy senses that Blake Lyly is hostile to him, and is not convinced. "Do you have the technology, buddy? Dare to open your mouth to preach." Blake Lyly didn't talk nonsense, and just picked up a billiard cue on the side, and leaned over to kick off. In just 2 minutes, what is called a one-shot clearance was staged. I stunned the boys. Blake Lyly walked up to me, qualified. The boy blushed and didn't answer, and said hello to me, and silently retreated. Blake Lyly pulled me to the pool table. Possessed. Lo. He was clinging to me, and my heart was beating irregularly. I tilted my head slightly, my lips brushing his face, and the tingling sensation spread all over my body. "Concentrate. Don't look at me. Watch the ball." Narcissism. I stared at the ball not far away, feeling a little uncomfortable. I shrugged back. Blake Lyly raised his hand and patted my ass. "Don't be sassy." I was ashamed to death. If he hadn't pressed my hand, I could have poked the club in his head. "Get out. I don't want you to teach." "Maxine Morse, you reason." "I'm teaching very seriously." When I rode on him, with a stethoscope to listen to his heartbeat, I was scolded by him for being perverted, and I told him seriously that I was checking it very seriously. Now the boomerang of retribution has finally hit me on the head. I want to cry without tears. At the end of the day, everyone took a ride back to school. I was in a hurry to get out of Blake Lyly, and as soon as I got to the side of the road, Blake Lyly stopped the car and pulled the car door, and pushed me in. It was so fast that I didn't even react. "Where are you taking me?" "Go home. Go back to our home." To this day, there is no place I can call home. I am like a rootless duckweed adrift in the world. No worries, no dependence. I gradually forgot what it felt like to be at home. Blake Lyly brought me back to his house, which was warmly decorated, and had plenty of traces of life. He took my fingerprints on the door lock. "Maxine Morse, this is our home from now on." My heart is like a floodgate that opens the floodgates, surging up with stormy waves. I shook off his hand, and looked at him coldly. "Blake Lyly, are you taking pity on me?" He wiped away my tears and said, word by word, "No, I care about you." Before you know it, tears run down your cheeks. Those cold eyes were full of small pieces of love and concern. "If you want to get revenge on me, you don't have to. Don't you want to sleep with me?" "Yes." I unzipped my coat, and was embraced by Blake Lyly. "Yes, but I want to be cared for and loved by you, like I care about you and love you." His words hit my heart like a small hammer. I pinched his coat. "Don't you hate me?" Blake Lyly smiled bitterly. "Maybe I've never been loved. I don't know what love is, and I think about it day and night, and the feeling of heart erosion is hate. After all, hate lasts longer than love." I looked at him in amazement. 1 second, 2 seconds. I stood on tiptoe, and held his face against my forehead. "I don't know what love feels like, but I know at this moment I care about you." When a heart collides with a heart, a bond arises. Perhaps two people who are seen as wrong can also be infinitely close to right. The end.